Mikasa Sukasa. You Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Look like Eddie Guerrero, man. You like to watch wrestling?
Yep.
Have you ever watched wrestling? On weed? That's the way to see it, man! It's rock!
Oh, snap. My mic is off. My mic was off the whole time. All right. You know what? Let's do this from the beginning. Yo, shout out to Kid Get Money. I appreciate you for that, man. Let's start this from the beginning. What up, Roar? It's your boy Physics in. You know what time it is. It's Friday. Welcome to March 11 episode of the Wild News Joint. On today's episode, we're talking about Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens WrestleMania match. Whose spot does Swerve take in AEW? And more right after this. Good thing we can edit these live shows. So, shout out to Kid Get Money. I appreciate you for that. If you're watching this in the chat, hit me up. Let me know what you think about what's going on in the world of wrestling. If you are watching the replay, hit those comment sections because I will be there and I can answer anything that you write back. For our first segment, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania update. The WWE Hall of Famer Steve Austin is reportedly working on his cardio as he prepares to get physical with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. There have been rumors on Austin coming out of retirement to wrestle Owens at WrestleMania 38, but WWE has officially announced that Austin will confront Owens on a special edition of the KO show scheduled for night one of WrestleMania 38, which will be on that Saturday. While WWE officials wanted Austin to do a match, the Resident Observer newsletter reports that the scheduled match was changed as Austin agreed to do a segment with a fight sequence, but not a match. Word is that Austin has been upping his cardio work as of late. The current plan for this segment at WrestleMania calls for a fight scene and not just a quick Stone Cold stunner to Owens. It was noted that the segment is planned to consist of more than just a stunner to Owens, but that stunner is obviously the conclusion of what is going to happen. There were still talks of doing an angle to lead to a match between Austin and Owens, and if Austin were to agree to it, but WWE felt like they needed to announce Austin for the card this week and not a later date, which is smart. If you know you're going to have Stone Cold involved, if you know you got to have Stone Cold involved, that means you need to just have him involved. They did the WWE video this past Tuesday to announce that he was coming. But after that, I'm pretty sure Stone Cold is a company man. He still works with WWE. He does all his podcasts there. He has his recent one with Bubba Ray Dudley. So he's a company man, and it's also in his home state of Texas. So he wants to make sure they sell those tickets. So yeah, he's doing his thing. He's getting his cardio up. I wouldn't be surprised if it turned into a match due to the fact that he's getting his cardio up. If he feels good, he might want to do a little more. And then if he has to take a bump, and if the bump feels good and he feels like he can do it, he'll go for it because they've been asking Austin for a match. I feel like between two people, Austin and Shawn Michaels, they've been asking him for matches for years. Unfortunately, Shawn Michaels came back against the wrong group of people. Shawn Michaels should have saved him coming out of retirement for AJ Styles. Everybody knows that. That should have been exactly what happened. But Stone Cold, he left the ring WrestleMania 18 against The Rock in a classic match. Our last match out of 3 WrestleMania matches, their last one. And that's what he left off of. But now, if you're going to get in the ring with anybody, having Kevin Owens as your partner, as your dance partner in the ring, gives him comfort knowing that he's not going to shit the bed with Kevin Owens. The only way he would shit the bed is if he ends up getting injured, knock on wood, during a match. But outside of that, being in Kevin Owens' hands would help him a lot, and he would go well with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the case. If something changes and next thing you know, boom, Stone Cold and Kevin Owens are going to wrestle. But I feel like with that, we wouldn't know until the actual event. And if we hear a bell ring, it's actually happening, and it's not just a fight segment. Especially if he comes out in the black tights and not just the black shirt and the cut off jorts. if he comes out in wrestling attire, we might be actually getting in the match, and that would be super surprising. And just let's just say it right now. Stone Cold being involved with this at all is fucking crazy, and it's great. And as a fan, like, I would have never guessed this in 2022 of all years. Kid Get Money says, 1 stunner, what? 2 stunners, what? 3 stunners, what? Everybody getting stunned, what? You know what's gonna happen? I feel like Stone Cold's gonna get stunned, but Kevin Owens is not gonna do the kick, and is gonna replay to what the first time he did it against Roman Reigns, and he was on the Stone Cold podcast, and Stone Cold chastised him about not doing the kick, because if you don't do the kick, you don't knock the wind out of him, which then leads to why the stunner is effective. He's just gonna stun Stone Cold, and it's gonna be 1-2 kick out, and it's going to be the kick that delivers the final ending, and Stone Cold is going to be the one to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the ending of this whole match. But let's move on to who Spot Swerve take when he came to AEW. Now, he really didn't take his spot, but he saw an opportunity. Swerve Strickland joined AEW shortly after Cody Rhodes appeared to be leaving AEW, though his future still remains uncertain. Strickland believes that Rhodes' departure left a window open for other opportunities, including some that Strickland hopes to take advantage of. He said, with the Cody Rhodes situation, with him leaving as well, we're not sure what that's going to where that's going to go. But him leaving that opened up a spot with all of those business acquisitions that he had. Like, I don't know if they're doing a lot of those anymore, or they seeing those out till they're finally finished, but that left the window. So I'm like, that gave me an opportunity for me to fill that void with all these crazy other business ventures and all of that. His business venture are things he's doing with music, like his theme song. It was produced by producers that worked on Kanye West's Donda. He's working with A&Rs from Bad Boy. So he has a lot going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to put his hands in the things that Cody Rhodes did. But also, Cody Rhodes' departure left him a spot to basically take Cody Rhodes' spot and what they were going to do with him throughout the year. So looks like that's where he's going to be. And something like that reminds me that maybe Cody Rhodes is not coming back. And I kind of feel like with the tea leaves, that's not going to be the case. People thought he might come back from Ring of Honor so he could be a booker at Ring of Honor, but Tony Khan already stated he's going to be the booker there. The only way Cody Rhodes comes back is if him and Tony Khan have an actual talk. And I feel like if there's some apologies coming from Tony Khan, but I don't think Tony Khan is going to apologize for anything he did. So I feel like that's where we're going to be. Kid Get Money says, Raw's going to be in Jacksonville this Monday. Is there a chance Stone Cold shows up and I should get tickets? There's a possibility, but there's also a chance of this. Speaking of Cody, on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Messer said the date WWE wanted Cody Rhodes on TV was for Monday Night Raw, March 14th in Jacksonville, Florida. They still want Cody for WrestleMania 38. Talks are ongoing, but a deal has not yet been reached and time is running out. Who would he face at WrestleMania 38? None other than Seth effing Rollins. So, in the next 72 hours, if you see a lot of craziness going on in the wrestling world and people putting up googly eyes and not saying what's exactly happening, don't be surprised if Cody Rhodes is showing up to Jacksonville and he's signing with, and we're going to get our match at WrestleMania of Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. So, Kid Get Money, I don't know. I don't know if Stone Cold's showing up, but it's a possibility he does. But there's also a possibility that Cody Rhodes' first comeback into WWE, being the first person from AEW to come to WWE, might happen. So I would say be on standby. You might need to get a ticket. You might, but just stay on standby. Speaking of changes due to Cody's departure, let's talk about Scorpio Sky becoming the TNT champion. Scorpio Sky's AEW TNT title win was reportedly planned a while back. Wednesday's AEW Dynamite main event saw Sky defeat Sammy Guevara to become the new TNT champion. Sky earned a title shot as he was undefeated in singles action for 1 year since his loss to then TNT champion Darby Allin on a March 10, 2021 edition of AEW Dynamite. Now, if you ask me, if you've been undefeated for a year, maybe you want to go a little bit higher than the TT Championship. But, that's just me. That's just something I would have done. That just makes sense wrestling-wise. In an update, Fightful Select reports that Sky's title win was planned as far back as late 2021. The February departure of Cody Rhodes caused a minimal hiccup in creative plans, but a lot of what went down still happened as planned. The only issue was, the stop and go with Cody's battle with COVID and things like that kind of stopped everything that was going on. But they knew in 2021 Scorpio Sky was going to get the belt. It just so happened it happened to be 2022 when he got it. So shout out to Scorpio Sky. I wish he would have went for a bigger belt, but I feel like he's going to be a good TNT champion. Now let's seriously talk about William Regal. Pro wrestling legend William Regal is dealing with a lot of serious health issues, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. According to Meltzer, Regal mentioned that he has little time left during his promo segment with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. It has caused people to freak out backstage in AEW. Apparently, Regal's health issues at this stage are far more serious than have ever came out. In this interview on next week's Talk is Jericho will detail them. I don't know what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised because this is a thing that WWE does, that WWE knew. And a lot of times the WWE let people go to, take care of their affairs, spend time with the loved ones, knowing that something serious is going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. It kind of makes sense because William Regal didn't say anything bad going out of what was going on. He might say something bad. Talking to Jericho, I wouldn't be surprised if like what was going on backstage with NXT and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if his departure was due to that and then wanted him to just, enjoy whatever he has left. But if it's that serious, nothing but prayers for William Regal and just hope the best for him. And that, he has a lot more time left than just a little bit, But let's move on to some quick hits. Meltzer indicated there is talks in WWE of calling up Braun Breaker to the main roster pretty quickly. Breaker is wrestling on this weekend's house shows. Makes sense of why they had him drop the belt to Dolph Ziggler. Gable Stevenson will also be fast-tracked to the main roster. Meltzer said the idea is for him to be another Brock Lesnar. So he's just going to be stumping through a bunch of people when it comes to him getting into WWE. Madman's Andrew Zarian was told by multiple people that Rick Steiner will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, but his brother Scott would not be inducted. That makes no sense at all. At all. Now, I know the rumor back in the day, in the early 90s, WCW wanted to make Rick the main guy. The other Rick, Flair, stopped that from actually happening. So Ric Flair and Rick Steiner have no love between them because he stopped all of that. But let's be real. Scott Steiner, you can't put Rick Steiner in by himself. You just can't. He didn't do enough by himself. Unless it's going to be Chucky inducting him, he didn't really do much by himself. That's like one of the most memorable things, other than being a tag team with his brother. Him going against Chucky is his biggest thing. Like, we're just, Big Papa Pump is, non grata in WWE. I guess so, because I know it didn't go too well with him being there, and him just blowing up every time he did a match. But, you own WCW as well, and you got to take that history in. And we know all of the craziness he did while in WCW. And then, of course, when he got to WWE, and, he has one of the greatest promos of all time. Yes, it didn't happen on WWE territory, but, pay that man his respects. So it doesn't make sense to have Rick Steiner in and not Scott Steiner in. It's fucking stupid. MVP is fully healed and is just building his cardio up to get back in the ring. So look forward to possibly seeing him back in the 2022 AEW Revolution pay-per-view looks to be one of the most successful events in company history. Last Sunday's Revolution event from the additional Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida, horrible name for arena, drew 110,000 pay-per-view buys on Bleacher Report and Fight, according to Wrestling Observer Radio. Depending on how well Revolution did on cable and satellite providers, the pay-per-view could end up with a low of 146,000 buys and a high of 165 to 170. This will make Revolution the second best AEW pay-per-view in terms of buys, only behind the 2021 All Out pay-per-view, which drew a reported 205,000 total buys. So we all know Laylo loved Revolution, and hey, it's getting all of its love back, and especially getting it back in coin. Now let's talk about what's going on in the world of wrestling tonight. Tonight, WWF SmackDown is coming live from Birmingham, Alabama at the Legacy Arena because we are on the road to WrestleMania 38. WWE has announced 2 matches for tonight's show. Big E and Kofi Kingston, New Day. I know they like to split them up, and it was like, that's not New Day. It's Big E and Kofi Kingston. No, it's a New Day. Will face Sheamus and Rich Holland in tag team action, while Sasha Banks will face WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Queen Zelina Vega. It is believed that new WWE Intercontinental Champion Ricochet will appear tonight for a follow-up on last week's title win over Sami Zayn. Speaking of Zayn, he and Jackass star Johnny Knoxville have continued their WrestleMania 38 feud on Twitter this week, so it's possible that we will see more from them on SmackDown tonight. WWE is teasing that confrontation between Ronda Rousey and SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, but nothing has been announced. Rousey is advertised by WWE Events website, but not announced for any segment of a match. WWE Champion Brock Lesnar is also advertised by WWE Events website, but he has not been announced for any match or segment. Lesnar will be on the show to continue his WrestleMania 38 feud with WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And like I said, we're in a high 72 hours of possibility of Cody Rhodes signing with WWE. So on Monday, he can go against Seth Rollins, and we can set the matchup for WrestleMania. So if he signs today, don't be surprised if there's some vignette about somebody coming and you need to watch on Monday. If that happens, we're seeing Cody. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If he signs today. If not, if Seth Rollins opens or ends Raw, it means Cody's there. It just depends on where we're going to go with that. So, but let's move on to AEW. AEW Rampage on TBS. Tonight's lineup is Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez, Darby Allin versus Mark Quinn. We have Keith Lee versus QT Marshall, and Shane Swerve Strickland in his debut match versus Tony Nese. We should have some bangers in that, and that's where we should go. What he says. Low key looking forward to what Knoxville does at Mania. That man is going to get thrown off of something. So at least we know that. He's going to take some stunts. If you haven't seen Jackass 4, it was hilarious. Jackass Forever, I mean. It was hilarious. The man damn near died in the last stunt that they, well, the second and last stunt that they did with the bull. But make sure you check out everything that we're doing on Wrestling on Weed. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit up Lay Low, because he's gonna give you the details of what's going on in the world of wrestling, especially what happens later tonight. Kid Get Money says, I'm getting my ticket. I'll be at Raw. Cody is my guy. Only wrestler I have a picture with. Hey, like I said, he might show up. The next 72 hours are very important on what's going on in the wrestling world. So, you know, the Sean Ross apps, like I said, if you start seeing eyes and people, especially WrestleVote, they start going, it's going to give the hint at what's going on. But this weekend is super important for what's going on with Cody Rhodes, because they want this match and they need to promote it now because they don't have that much time. But thank you for being here with me. We know we got the blunt ratings, so make sure you check those out. We have the news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have Laylo say I'm about to stream 2K on the channel, so we're gonna have 2K matches. Of course, I know that him and Two-Face might be doing matches. I might join in. You know, I'm a little bit busy. I got a birthday coming up. I'm gonna be out the country after next week, but after that, you know, I might come in so you can see my creative character, see me how I am in real life, just beating down Laylo. So if you want to see that, you know, you don't have to pay the big bucks. You just got to subscribe and see the beauty of, you know, one of the greatest of all time doing his thing. So, yeah, that's basically it. Maybe a triple threat match so I can let Two-Face and Laylo know how it really is, what the hierarchy is for wrestling on weed. But thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy wrestling and peace.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when we go live next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling on Weed.